Hey there, everybody. I've been trying to write a little something about self-confidence and self-esteem and trying to give everybody a little bit of a boost about, what those things mean and what you can do to help yourself out with them. But to be honest, I'm actually having a lot of trouble putting it into words, I guess, I know what I want to say, but I'm having trouble writing it down and putting into one long cohesive thing. So I just kind of wanted to turn the mic on and just start talking. I kind of figured I would do this as I could just get my thoughts out there and then go over all of it as, in a sort of note taking sense and, put together a more cohesive thing. But I don't know. I let's just see how it goes. But I wanted to talk about self-confidence and self-esteem, and they go hand in hand. They're all different things, but they go hand in hand. Self-confidence is basically how we approach doing the things that we're trying to do, whether it's something that we're doing for fun or whether it's a task that we're trying to perform in life, as far as, getting a job or, cleaning up, doing school, doing anything, chores and stuff like that. Chores is probably a bad example, but it really does kind of work with anything, in that the more confident you are in what you're doing, the more reward you're going to get out of it, the better you'll probably be at it. And, self-esteem is basically how we feel about ourselves as people. Those things, they kind of go hand in hand, because if we feel good about ourselves, we tend to be more confident in the things that we do. If we are more confident in the things that we do, oftentimes they'll turn out better, and then we'll feel better about ourselves. So these things actually do go hand in hand. But they are vital, but at the same time, unfortunately, they're under attack all the time, by our own minds, by external forces, the things that we hear from people around us, things that just happen around us, whether they're intentional or just by accident. And you got to try and keep your head about with these things. We can easily get poisoned, and those things can start to drain out of us. We can try and do something and it can be going great, but then for absolutely no reason, something in our own head can tell us that all of a sudden we're doing something wrong. Or it can actually go wrong, and then we are now shot as far as trying to do it again. Or the worst case scenario, in my opinion, is other people telling us, for no reason really, that we're doing something wrong, or, and they're not facts, they're opinions. If we like the things that we like and we're trying to put energy into the things that we are, and other people don't agree with it or approve of it, it's easy for them to say, that's wrong, you shouldn't be doing that. And that can quickly turn into a poison that just affects us. And we have trouble living our lives just because we get into a routine where that's what our minds think. That damages our self-confidence, and then our self-esteem goes right down the toilet with it. I would think that my best advice is play one off the other. If you're doing something and you're maybe not confident about it, but you are sure that this is a good thing for you to do, not just a good thing to do, not a moral or a just thing, but a good thing for you to do, because not everything is good for everybody. But if you're confident in that, and you know that this is something that you want to do and something that you're capable of doing, and you feel good about yourself doing it, if your self-esteem goes up because you're trying to do it, then you're already on the right path. So that right there should be a big self-confidence booster. That's one of the gags with self-confidence, is that it's sort of a catch-22. If you had self-confidence, you would be doing it well. But doing it well is one of the ways you gain self-confidence. So it feels like that's a circle that we can't complete. But another way to get self-confidence is to just know that you're doing something that you personally should be doing, that you're other than it just being moral and right, because without trying to sound too much like an after school special, you should be doing things that are right. Don't apply this to breaking into cars. That's not something you should be doing. So I'm not trying to give you a confidence booster in that. Just if you want to try and do something, if you want to start to learn how to draw or play an instrument or play a sport, or even down to something like playing a game or going online. I know that there's I myself obviously am starting to do more stuff on YouTube. If you want to try and become a YouTube personality, if you want to in your school, if you want to go into acting or something like that, these are things that are morally good, and they may be good for us as individuals, but not everything for everybody. So if you want to go into acting and someone's trying to push you into sports, it's not going to work. You're not going to go into it with self-confidence, and you're not going to have a high self-esteem for doing it. And part of the problem is that in your mind, this is not something that is for you. This is not something you're supposed to be doing. So I would just say I try a lot of different things. That's one big thing that I love to recommend to people. There's a saying that people say incomplete, and it's jack of all trades, master of none. But if you look it up, that there's more to that phrase, saying how it's better to have a large skill set than to be only the master of one. That's the gist of it. So try a lot of different things. You never know if you're going to come across the thing that you really, really love to do. There may be something that you really love to do, or you have an idea of wanting to do it, and then there's some other aspect of it. There are people out there who get into cosplay, and they think they want to go and they want to wear the most elaborate costumes, and they want the costume to light up, and they want it to have big shoulders and big armor and big wings and a big prop. And then as they start to do it more, they realize, what? They actually only like the part where they put lighting into it, where they run all the electrical wiring and the batteries and stuff like that. Or they like making just the big props. It's not a big thing for them to wear full armor and be walking around and it's 110 degrees inside the costume. They like to make big giant swords. In their search for the one thing, they found the thing that they really like. And it helped that they went into that first thing with confidence. And in the end, they found self-confidence in what they were doing. They were happy with themselves, which is a boost to their self-esteem. So that's going to be my advice, is to, if your self-confidence is low, and that can unfortunately happen, especially to those of us in the geek culture. We love doing these things, and we love doing these geeky things, and maybe we want to write fan fiction, or we want to, like I said, make costumes or anything like that. And it's easy for people to be outside of the culture, making us feel like we're doing something wrong. And we start to doubt ourselves, and that doubt is the opposite of self-confidence. And that's going to make the things that we want to do harder and not as rewarding. We may succeed at it, but because we succeeded at this thing that everybody's been telling us you're not supposed to be doing, it diminishes that great feeling that we should have at the end of accomplishing something. So if you are struggling with self-confidence and self-esteem, just remember that one feeds off the other. If you feel like you have self-confidence but you're looking for self-esteem, just stay confident in the things that you're doing. Try different things. When you find a thing that makes you feel warm inside, is a hokey way to say it, but when you find that thing that you do, and when you step back and you look at it, you are proud of yourself. That is your self-esteem going up. So try different things and look for that. If self-confidence is your problem, if you feel like you have a high self-esteem, then that is actually your solution. Look at yourself and look at who you are as a person, and if you look at that person and you say, this person is great. I am proud of myself for the things that I do, and I'm happy with the things that I do, and I'm happy who I am for it. That should be enough for you to go into doing those things and saying, when this is all over, I feel good about myself. That is the confidence that I need, that I'm doing it correctly, that or I am at least doing the correct thing. If you're doing something and if the self-confidence, if the lack of self-confidence is coming from you doing it wrong, you love playing this game, but you're not doing it well. You love building the costumes, but they're not looking as good as you want them to. You've actually got kind of a different problem there, because you've got the self-confidence, you've got the self-esteem because you're doing it right. You just need the skill. In which case, then the problem is as simple as reaching out in social media, when you go to conventions, anything like that, and reaching out to people and saying, listen, this is something I love to do. This is something I want to learn how to do better. Can you help me? And that will actually go a long way. And then in the end, where you thought you had a self-confidence problem, where you thought you had a self-esteem problem, all you had was a lack of experience problem. And as you gain more experience, that will clear up. So that's basically going to be it. It looks like I got some good thoughts out of this. It's a little jumbled, so hopefully it all came across. But yeah, I guess that's going to be it. If you've got self-confidence problems, if you've got self-esteem problems, let those two play off of each other. And as long as you are happy with who you are at the end of the day, then that's a success. If someone else is not happy with who you are, as long as you're a good person, that's a success. That is a failure on their part for choosing to judge you by your hobbies as opposed to you as a person. That's a failing on them, and you need to disregard that, because you don't need that kind of negativity damaging who you are. If you're doing everything and you know that it's right in your heart and you feel good about yourself when you're doing it, there's your self-esteem. Let that feed into your self-confidence, because when you go to do these things, you're doing something right. And hopefully that'll at least be the first step into becoming a better person, becoming a more complete person, and becoming someone who can not only provide everything that you'll need for yourself in life, but can be there for someone else who may eventually have the same kind of problem. And when they look at you and they say, how is it that you're so confident and I feel so awkward about everything, and you can maybe help them out with whatever you did along the way to make yourself better. Because that is how we survive as a society. We don't survive by just being the best version of ourselves. We survive by being the best version of ourselves and then helping each other to also be their best versions. And I want to thank you all for listening to my ramblings on this. It felt kind of good to just really kind of talk about that stuff. I like to try and write this stuff down so it's a little more cohesive, but every once in a while I like to ramble. I just let it sort of come out the way it would naturally come out. And I don't know, let me know if you think that that's a better way to hear it, or if you've seen it some of my other videos where it seems a little more put together, if that's something more that you like. But I'm gonna end it here. So just like I always say, if you like this video, if you heard something that you think might help you, or more importantly, if you heard something that you think is going to help somebody else, please share this video with someone else who might need it. I know that in our culture, there are a lot of people who suffer from these kinds of problems, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-worth. Self-worth is I didn't tackle self-worth because that is a sort of major one. And on a very, very, very personal note, I have a high self-esteem of myself. I try to go into things with as much self-confidence as possible, but self-worth is an area where I do need a lot of work on, and I know that about myself. So I like to think that that's the first step. But that's sort of why I didn't tackle self-worth. It's kind of hard for me to try and point everybody in the right direction on that subject when even I'm a bit lost there. But thank you, everybody, and I hope to hear some positivity in the comment section about any struggles that you might have, and hopefully this video helps somebody. Thank you, and have a good night.